I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into the whimsical world of Auntie Bertie Bans Christmas. Rescue Cats Save the Day. It's written by a terrific author. Her name is Esther Loftus Gough. This quirky holiday tale takes us to the snowy countryside where Auntie Bertie decides to ban Christmas, only for her rescue cats and mischievous nephew to turn things upside down. This is a book that is full of humor, charm, and a few surprises. It is a story that is perfect for families and animal lovers alike. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Esther, great to see you here today on Spotlight. Thank you for being our guest.
Thank you, Logan. It's nice to be here. Thanks.
This is such a charming story, Auntie Bertie and her colorful Christmas adventures. What inspired you? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I've written on and off all my life. I've kept a diary as well when I was a child, and my grandfather was a writer as well as children's educational books. So I think it's in the family. My mother was from Ireland and loved to tell a story. So I was brought up with lots of storytelling. And a lot of my stories are, Auntie Bertie was actually a real life aunt of ours that used to come and stay with us. And we were all a little bit sort of scared of her because she had quite quirky ideals about what everybody should do. And so basically, I originally wrote Auntie Bertie and the Flying Circus Mouse, which was another book I've written. And so what I did was, with Auntie Bertie Bans Christmas, I had rather an eccentric friend of a friend who I heard about, who banned Christmas for her children. And we were all rather stunned. The children seemed to take it all in their stride and managed to get their Christmas back at the end of it all. But basically, she said that because they were naughty, she was going to ban Christmas. So anyway, so in my book, I started off with that as the title, and I worked around it. And then what I did was, I always like to include colour for a start, because I'm a counsellor, colour therapist counsellor, as well as being a writer and author. And it's very good for this book. It's very good for learning difficulties. One of my books, Blue in the Tooth, which is also colour orientated, that won a Children's Writers Award. 4 to 8 year olds. And what I did was I included rescue cats, because I'm a vet's daughter as well. So we've always had rescue animals in our household, as well as other animals as well. So I included the rescue cats, Molly and George. And then also there's a territorial robin in it, because robins always like to come home every year. They come back for Christmas to the same place, which my father used to always be amazed at. He'd always say, "Oh, there's the robin back for Christmas." And then we've got Susan the dog, who Auntie Bertie actually did have. Susan, who was a West Highland Terrier dog. And so they all get together to do with the story, and Auntie Bertie's banned Christmas, but they help stop a robbery at the house. And the robber is actually interested in the silver that Auntie Bertie has. And then it goes from there, really, because he gets tempted by a huge, giant carrot cake, and then it all seems to fall apart for him.
wonderful. It's a wonderful adventure. It's a wonderful misadventure. And, I'm
Yeah.
sure children, just from reading the title, Auntie Bertie Bans Christmas, is like, what? And that draws them in. I think that's a great reaction. And then having
Yeah.
animals in the book, like the cats, like Susie, I think that also connects so well with children because I think they love children. I think they love animals more than people.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
think they learn from that how to look after animals. Because
Yeah.
Auntie Bertie's telling them to feed the robin because it's snowing and the wildlife can't find enough food. Molly and George are being fed, and Susan. So it teaches children about interacting with animals. So it's so yes. So basically, with Molly and George, they were both rescue cats, and they're more or less outside the story for Auntie Bertie. They're in a tree outside, watching it all going on. So it was fun to write.
Sure it
Great,
was.
yes.
I think it'd also be fun for you to see it either on TV or in the movies. Have you envisioned this as some kind of cinematic story?
Well, I've been told in the past, yes, that the Auntie Bertie stories would be good
Yeah.
in a format or a cartoon or film,
Hmm.
but it's just a matter really of waiting to see
Exactly. You
what
put the
happens.
work out there, see who finds it, who discovers it, who wants to transform it into something for the big screen or the small screen. I think it'd be a
Yeah.
terrific story. Now, you're quite a prolific writer. Tell us a little bit about your writing career. I was looking at your website earlier. It's wonderful.
Well, I've written on and off all my life, but I actually didn't, and I was actually approached to do with Auntie Bertie by one of the big publishers back in the 1990s. And I kept on thinking, I need to get it right. I'm quite a perfectionist in a way with it. And so suddenly, in about 2000, no, late 1990s, I thought, right, I'll go for it. And I had Auntie Bertie, no, Blue in the Tooth published first. And Blue in the Tooth, I'll show you here. That's because my son wouldn't brush his teeth. so,
That's wonderful.
so I decided, so that's in the schools near to us in their life.
Wonderful.
And then also I found that because they're color orientated,
Hmm.
doctor friends and various medical friends have said, well, that's great for people with learning difficulties, color blindness, even dementia, older people, because they can actually relate to Auntie Bertie stories. And they make them laugh and they're interesting for them to read.
Wonderful.
So that's about it, really. I just write. I love writing. I
Hmm.
love creative. And I love using all the 8 colors of the color therapy palette.
Sure, and I think that really connects with children as well. And you've got another media form out there that I think will connect with children, and that's the audiobook version. That
Yes.
seems to be your new passion. So you can listen to Auntie Bertie Bans Christmas on audio. Tell us a little bit about that and how you produced it.
Well, I originally had, which one was it? Blue in the Tooth, I think, done.
Mhm.
And I had that um, recorded by a recording artist. And then people kept on saying to me, why don't I do it myself? And so what I did was when I did Auntie Bertie and the Flying Circus Mouse, I did it with a friend of mine who is a professional recording artist also. So in a way I was taught how to record. Also, I did do things like speech and drama when I was younger,
Wonderful.
and acting and that type of thing, and it all comes in handy.
Wonderful.
Um,
Well, you've got a great speaking voice. I can see you narrating that book perfectly, taking on the cadence of Auntie Bertie from time to time, which would be
yeah.
wonderful as well. How many different Auntie Bertie books are there?
Well, at the moment, there are two. I've
Okay.
got Auntie Bertie and the Flying Circus Mouse,
Mhm.
and then Auntie Bertie Bans Christmas. And then the other books I've written are Blue in the Tooth, which is about a molar tooth that falls out. A child's, it's for children learning to brush their teeth and realizing that it's hard on the poor tooth to not have their teeth brushed. And then I've got the follow on for that about Pearl, the other tooth, one of the other teeth in the mouth, in Johnny's mouth. And that's called Pearl Meets a Tooth Fairy. And
Wonderful.
that, yeah, and that I haven't done the audiobook for that yet, but I'm working on that. I'll be starting that, I should think, in the new year.
Wonderful. Have you had the opportunity to read any of your books to children to see what their reaction is and so forth?
Yes, I used to, especially before COVID, I used to read in the libraries,
Hmm.
and I've read in some of the schools. They've invited me in to read. And what I often do is, for example, with Blue in the Tooth, I'll say, what is the name of the tooth that falls out? Is it a canine, molar, or what? And so there's all, and I'll say at the end of it, at the end of the story, the first child who can tell me what type of tooth it is wins a prize, can get a free book from me or something like that.
Wonderful.
And there's always one that jumps up at the end and says, it's a canine. So,
Wonderful.
yes.
That's
So,
great. That's
yeah.
great. These are such wonderful, charming books, no doubt. Aside from entertaining children, are there lessons you want them to get from Auntie Bertie Bans Christmas, for example?
Yes, I think that Auntie Bertie Bans Christmas, I do try and include in all my books old fashioned family values.
Mhm.
And Auntie Bertie had a few quirky ideas, such as well, they weren't quirky, I suppose, but back in the 1960s and 1970s, they didn't allow people didn't really eat in the street. They didn't put their elbows on the table when they were eating. Um, and so I've included those type of things in my books so that children just can remember things from the past.
Yeah, I think those are great classic manners that children should learn, you know.
Yes,
I'd rather not see people eating on the street and on the tube or on the subway
yes,
eating pizza or sitting
yes,
like this eating their food, you know.
yeah,
So I think
yeah,
those are great lessons for children.
yeah.
And of course, this book is wildly entertaining and vividly colorful. The name of the book we've been focusing on today is Auntie Bertie Bans Christmas Rescue Cats Save the Day. It is a quirky holiday tale that takes us to the snowy countryside where Auntie Bertie decides to, of all things, ban Christmas, only for her rescue cats and mischievous nephew to turn things up and down. This is a book that is full of charm, humor, and a few surprises. You will love it. Families will love it. Get it for the holiday season. Share it with your children. Invent your own stories while reading it. And I think it'll be a great lesson. Esther, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much, Logan.
I appreciate your time. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.